Okay, perfect. And just tell me when to start a little
We're
chatting back and
good.
forth.
Yeah. So
Okay.
excited for this discussion that we're getting ready to have, Angela. And I know our viewers are going to be excited as well. Hi, everyone. Welcome to What is Said in the Teacher's Lounge, Exploring Bias and Challenging Behaviors with Dr. Angela Searcy. My name is Raven Griffin, Marketing Manager at Kaplan Early Learning Company. Before we get started, I do want to state at Kaplan Early Learning Company, we are committed to supporting social justice, investing in diversity and inclusion efforts, and advocating and providing equitable learning opportunities for team members and early learning communities. This is one reason why discussions such as the one we are having today is not only important, it is necessary and will be ongoing. So before we get started, I would like to introduce our phenomenal presenter, Dr. Angela Searcy, who is an educational consultant and seminar leader at Erickson Institute and the owner and founder of Simple Solutions Educational Services, a professional development company. She holds a BA in English and Secondary Education, an MS in Early Childhood Development from Erickson Institute, and a doctorate in education. Her research revolves around brain-based learning as assessed by the Classroom Assessment Scoring System, or CLASS, and its correlation to aggressive behaviors in Head Start preschool classrooms. An educator since 1990, Dr. Searcy has experience as a teacher at all levels of education and as a development therapist through the Early Intervention System of Illinois. Dr. Searcy is also an adjunct instructor at Erickson Institute, a professional development provider for Teaching Strategies, LLC, and the Bureau of Education and Research, an affiliate trainer for Teach Them. She is also the author of Push Past It, a positive approach to challenging classroom behaviors, and of the Walk in My Shoes mat and activity guide, both available via Kaplan Early Learning Company. A former neurodevelopmental specialist, Dr. Searcy has specialized training in neuroscience and is a candidate in Erickson Institute's Infant Mental Health Certificate Program. Everyone, please join me in welcoming Dr. Angela Searcy.
Thank you so much, Raven. I am so excited that we are continuing to have this discussion and that Kaplan is so committed to giving this support. So thank you for having me. And we're going to start out with our title today. Oh, yes, you saw it. It is What is Said in the Teacher's Lounge. So get a pen, get a piece of paper, or just sit back and think for a minute about what's said in the teacher's lounge. You can write it, you can think about it. Now, what's said about children? Oh, yes, we say things about children in the teacher's lounge. What's said about families? What's said about coworkers? Oh, we cannot forget coworkers. And yes, especially when a challenging behavior occurs. So, you know what? As Raven said, I've been a teacher. I've been in the teacher's lounge, okay? And some things that I have heard or I have said, right? Are like, oh, I had that child last year, right? Right? Ooh, oh, get ready for so-and-so, okay? Or, yes, they're having another one. Oh my gosh, get ready for 2.0. You think that you think that they were something. Get ready for the siblings. Okay, so those are some of the things I've said. Okay, this is like Vegas. We don't have to feel, yeah, I'm sharing. You don't have to. All right, so what do you say about children in the teacher's lounge, right? Write those down. Think about that. What do you say about families, right? It's like, wow. I mean, one minute they say this, the next minute they say something completely opposite. It's like I'm puzzled, right? So yeah, parents will contradict what they say one day and say something different the next day. Sometimes you're like, well, I saw them out in the community, at Walmart, at whatever, at the store, right? You're like, I saw them. They act like that. They act just the same way. They said they don't act like that at home. They act like, I saw it. They was out. They didn't see me though, but, but I've seen it. So you may have some feelings about what families will share with you. You may not be on the same, they may not be on the same page with you. You feel almost like sometimes, oh, I felt this, right, in the teacher's lounge. They're sabotaging. I work really hard all week. They go home and they undid, everything's undone that I did during the week. That's, some thoughts in the teacher's lounge that I talked about. And then here's the other thing. We also talk about each other. Oh, yes. I already have one boss. How did I get two? You are not my boss. You are my colleague. Come on, everybody. Are you writing this down? Am I bringing up some things that you've said or that you've heard in the teacher's lounge? Okay, I hope I'm right on point. Please, if you're on Facebook, chat in the chat box or in the comments what you've heard. Go ahead, don't be shy. If you want to share something about what you heard, we know that you didn't say it. It's something you heard from someone else in the teacher's lounge. The teacher's lounge holds value. And remember, it's not actually a lounge. Like sometimes, I've been a teacher and sometimes it's a closet or it's where teachers congregate. It's the bathroom. So the teacher's lounge is not really a place. It's anywhere that educators come together. It could be at a workshop. It could be in the bathroom. It could be in the hallway where you kind of come together and start talking. And this teacher's lounge, wherever it is, even in the parking lot, yes, in the parking lot, it holds value. It does hold value. It's a place where we can vent. Yes, absolutely. I know some parents are listening right now like, is this what they say? Right? It's a place that we can vent. I know parents have their own parent lounge where they also come together with people who can understand your struggle, to understand how frustrating you may feel. It holds, right, that value for venting all those feelings, camaraderie. We bond over these moments, whether you're a teacher in the teacher's lounge. I know sometimes we get parents on these. So if you're a parent who's kind of in the parent committee lounge, and they're vice versa, and you're kind of talking about educators, it's a place that we can be at home, we can connect to each other, and it even feels better, right? You feel good, like getting it out, right? It feels good. And the teacher's lounge holds value for those reasons, but it also holds bias. Yeah, it can hold both. It can hold both of those things. So wait. If right now you are clutching your invisible pearls and you're going, oh, me? Bias? I am not attacking your moral character. Bias actually typically runs counter to our values and beliefs, and it's often unconscious, right? And when we're in a state where we have a child with a challenging behavior, bias is really common because you could be feeling overwhelmed yourself by the challenging behavior from a child, from a coworker, from a family. It could send you into a state of trauma or or fight or flight ourselves, right? So then when we're in that state, it's really hard to be objective. So I'm with you. I understand. And if you're saying things in the teacher's lounge, like I've said, as you can read in my book, Push Past It, I'm pretty truthful. Anyone has read that, where I was like, that little serial killer attacked another child. Like I've said those things. And then I felt guilty about it. And what I want to share with you right now, do not feel guilty. Do not feel shame. A couple of things. Shame inhibits your problem solving when you need it the most. These feelings are normal and they're natural, especially when you have a challenging behavior. If you have a brain, honey, you have bias. Neuroscience research, and as you were listening to all my different credentials, you may have picked up that I love neuroscience. And so when I researched this for my book, I found out some information that was really important that is new information actually. Is that neurologically, from a neurological standpoint, well, bias actually has an important role. It helps us to simplify information so we can make quick decisions. So this kind of, I guess I would say, what's the word I'm looking for? This kind of evolutionary trait, right? This saved us when we were, fighting lions and bears. This was very helpful. It's actually becoming a modern day hindrance because now we don't have a physical, right, fight, but we usually have psychological challenges. And so now this kind of, protecting, right, factor that has helped us to evolve can be more challenging when we're dealing with these kind of psychological issues and challenging behaviors and threats. That's what it feels like. It feels like a threat. It is not a physical threat, but your brain treats it the same way as a physical threat. When that parent says to you, well, we don't have rules till they 12. You're like, you don't have rules till your child. You don't have, wow, what? Right? And that's an example for me, right? I know you guys would handle it maybe different. That was the first thing I thought. It's like, why don't you have rules? I felt a sense of uncomfortableness. It was not a physical threat, but more of a psychological threat. I was worried. I was concerned. I was like, oh, are they going to jail? Because they don't have, like, it was a worry. It was a concern. So let me let you know that I'm being very honest with you today and holding the fact that this is normal and that it's okay. You can be negative, but you can't stay negative. That's where I'm going to help you to push past it. All right. So just a reminder that basically being biased is not a personal flaw. Okay, it's actually a human adaptation that's helped us to survive. And so now that we think about it in that way, I think I'm not worried if you're biased. I am not worried. That is not troublesome. What's troublesome to me if you're not checking for your bias? That's what's troublesome. Because these are normal, natural things that occur, especially when you have a challenging behavior. So no worries if you're like, I might have said some of the things that you, are we in line with some of the things that I said? So now what are we going to do about it? It's up to us to make sure that we kind of hold ourselves, make sure that we're checking for bias and that we're on alert. So what I've done is I've created some tools to help us think about bias. So if you do have pushed past it, and I'm going to give you the cliff notes right now. Like, oh, this is a thick book. I don't know if I have a challenging behavior. Do I have extra time to read a book? So if you do have the book, you want to go to chapter 2. Chapter 2 gives you some ideas to think about our own bias and help to get us in check in case we're feeling that way, to do some self-reflection. And if you don't have the Push Past It book, well, I've got you covered. I'm going to share with you some tools that I put on the Push Past It link. And then also, oh, wait, hold on, here it is. All right, and then also, let me go here for you. So if you type in Push Past It and go to Griffin House, I'm actually just going to show you the website so you can find everything. So you're like, I don't know if I want to commit to a book. So you can scroll down. I am not offended. I am not offended. Scroll down and go ahead and click author. Then you will see my picture. Then I want you to click one more time and click read more. When you click read more, you will see in the news, workshop downloadables, and professional development. I'm going to send you to workshop downloadables. When you click workshop downloadables, you'll see free tools that I use at my workshops. They go along with them, but you have access to them no matter what. And one of the tools, it's what is said in the Teacher's Lounge bias worksheet. There are many other tools here, such as what about the other kids and work it worksheet and meaning making. There's meaning making in English and Spanish. There's tons of tools here, but the one I'm going to send us to is the title of our time today. What is said in the Teacher's Lounge, the bias worksheet. This is going to help us to filter any kind of bias. So go ahead, once you click that, it's going to send you to this bias filter worksheet, okay, with the same title. And now you should be able to see this filter worksheet. You might not see me anymore, but you should be able to see this filter workshop taking over your screen right now. And so the beginning kind of talks about what I just already shared with you already, gives you a little bit of research to explore, a reference, and gives you space to write down everything, right, that you hear others say about a student, a family, or coworker in the Teacher's Lounge when an intense, challenging behavior occurs. So that is your space to just, vent. I don't want you to be neutral. That's impossible, according to neuroscience. What I want you to do is to filter out and respond with neutrality. You don't need to be neutral. You don't. That's impossible. But what you do need to do to be a good professional is to filter out any bias. So let's look at this sheet together. So, and I hope everyone can, I know if you couldn't see it, somebody would let me know. So I think everything's flowing well. You can see all of this great information. And I'm going to actually adjust my screen just a little bit to make it a little bit bigger. So you don't see that on the side. So let's filter. So now you have that sheet in front of you where you wrote down all of those things that are said in the Teacher's Lounge, right? And now we're going to filter our statements. So then I want you to list any statements that you said that in the Teacher's Lounge that measure whether behavior is right or wrong. And I just mentioned that just now, that I stated, a parent said to me, I don't think they have rules until they're 12. I started coming together with my own interpretation of that, if something is right or wrong. Why might this be potential bias? So ethnocentricity involves imposing a value judgment on the actions of others based on the standards of your own culture. Whether a behavior is right or wrong can vary within and between cultures. It doesn't mean a behavior is never wrong. Don't get it mixed up here. However, to avoid our bias, we're always making meaning of a behavior. So instead of focusing if it's yes or no or right or wrong, what you want to focus in, what does it mean? And interpreting the actions of others without meaning renders those interpretations meaningless. And what you'll see here, you'll notice there's some page numbers, and I hope my window's not making any noises here. It's a little windy today. I just adjusted it just to make sure. You'll see page numbers to push past it. If you have the book, it's helpful to kind of look at those pages. And if you don't, that's okay. This sheet can be used however you wish. If you're like, I don't want to do any paperwork, Angela, that's okay. You could use this as a thinking point. You could use this as you never write anything. You just think about it or talk about it, or a discussion point. You can do this in order or out of order, whatever way that you find this useful for you. And then I ended with each section is set up the same way, a potential bias. It doesn't mean it is. It just means it's potentially could be a bias. I would be biased if I said it was a bias. Why it might be a signal of bias. And then anti-bias actions and neutral decision making. So listing potential origins of a behavior, meanings behind it, functions. Remembering that actions don't always match values. Just because someone value something, their actions may not show that. So I thought, oh, they don't value school. You know what? I can't, after talking with so many families, come on, families, chat in the comments, just join it. Come on, think for, I can't think of any family. I've worked with families all over the country. I've worked with families in treatment centers for drug addiction. I've worked with families, of all different ages, all different communities, and they all have one thing in common. They care. And so, but caring that your actions may not show that. So, hey, you know what? I value healthy eating, but I'm just between us. I've already had popcorn for breakfast. I'm trying. No bias. Don't judge me. All right. So, thinking about that capacity, skill level, all impact action. But come on, you guys, let's keep going. Let's kind of look through this sheet, see what sticks out to you. What are good reminders to you? Yeah, once I start doing this with educators just really resonate to like, this is just what I needed. This is just that, you know what I mean? I needed to, yes, I'm it's ridiculous. I'm feeling this way. It's okay to acknowledge your feelings, and it's also okay to check for bias. They're both okay. List any statements that include removing, segregating, or limiting any kind of student time in a classroom or a school. So yesterday I said this, as you guys know, I work with teachers, I work with programs, I'm a consultant, I'm a trainer, I go right into classrooms and provide support. And they're like, we don't have the skills. It's not about having skills. We're all learning skills. I'm learning. Someone's like, oh, you're a mental health. No, I'm learning skills all the time. I'm still a student. I'm actually in a program now so I can learn more skills. I'm always learning skills. That doesn't mean we remove children. If that was the case, then we might not have a lot of children in our programs. So even though it's well-intentioned, removing students removes the opportunity not only for the students to get better, but the educators to get better. I am so grateful for the little boy with some of you have heard this story, who bit the chunk out of who you read that and pushed back, who bit a chunk out of a child's face. That happened in 1996. That's when that happened. And do you know, I'm so grateful for, his name is Mason. That's what I call him, Mason. And I describe him and push past it. I talk about my relationship with Mason, how I had to get out of that teacher's lounge. It sneaks up on you, right? In your mind. It's not a place, honey. It's a mindset. And that sneaks up on you, that teacher's lounge. And I had to push myself out of it. But that child stayed. I pushed myself. We didn't push the child out. And I'm so grateful to Mason, because if it wasn't for him, I wouldn't be here with you now. That's where I learned all these skills about challenging behaviors that Mason gave to me as a gift. When children are pushed out of school, it didn't make anything safer. They just went out in the community with less resources. Now they're beating up people in the parking lot. That child and that family, they have not disappeared. I don't know how anything is safe for the kid in your class. Go see them at the bus stop. They're going to see them in the community. Okay. So wouldn't it make sense that behavior is still occurring, but now it exists with less structural support and fewer resources, which can potentially make our communities less safe? And that is my fear. And that is shown in research. So now take a breath. I know. And here's the thing. Instead of coping, I get it. I understand. It's my fantasy. That is my lovely fantasy, is to see little Mason in another school. That was like, it was like eating donuts. It was like, I wish, but I needed new strategies. That was a coping mechanism for me, to wish they were in a new place. But how do you know a new place is going to be right for that child? How do you know a new people? Well, we don't know any of that. And there's plenty of circumstances where that hasn't happened. So instead of wishing for a new place, try to get some new coping strategies. Oh yeah, it feels good to wish for that. List potential strategies and services that can be pushed into the current setting instead of pushing a child out. What children who are never pushed out, it impacts the children who remain. What research shows is that children who are never pushed out have lower math and literacy skills. Okay, I'll rewind it, everybody. Let me share that again. You're like, wait. So when I was studying, my book was a basis for my dissertation research, and it's all in there, everyone. And so what I found, because I know I said this myself, like, oh, what about the other kids? What about the other kids who want to learn? Well, guess what? When educators in schools use exclusionary discipline, it affects all children. And you think those kids are wondering where their friend went? There is, research to support this. Lower math, because here's the thing, you're distracting them by removing their friend. You think they're better back to ready to learn? They're wondering if you're going to remove them next. I know, it creates, did you think of that? It creates an atmosphere of fear, anxiety for all children, even those who are not removed, which is why they have a lower math and literacy scores. You think just because you remove that child and you start talking about, and now back to 2 + 2, that those children aren't still thinking about what happened and worried that it's going to happen to them next. So there's one beautiful experiment that a teacher did. And a teacher, it was like, I wish my teacher knew. And one of the statements, and I wish my teacher, and the kids who could wrote sticky notes about what they wish their teacher knew. And one child wrote, I wish my teacher knew that the kids who struggle, and I'm tearing up because it's so powerful, the kids who have the most challenging behavior are the smartest kids. A child wrote that. The children know those are their friends. Those are the smart kids. And then for the kids who don't understand that, we're setting up a pattern of peer rejection that will last a lifetime. Yeah. So now think of what can be pushed in. We still value safety. Don't get me wrong. We still value, we're going to push in services. Special education is not a place. It is not a place people go. It's services that you bring in, right? Okay, everyone, we got a few. Okay, I hope I'm getting some thoughts going. Now, let's go through a few more. Let's keep it. We got a few more to go through here. List any statements that suggest there's one way to accomplish a goal. Back to me again, they need to get on a schedule. Children should have a routine. And that's one way to support children, but there's other ways. So if a family doesn't have a routine, that's what they don't have. It's okay. Meeting families where they are. Meeting coworkers. I talked about coworkers as well. So a coworker, I think we should do it this way. I think, what if we did both? More than one idea can live in a space. So again, ethnocentricity involves thinking your way of living is the only correct way. Being on the same page, honey, makes for a short book of knowledge. When you think you know everything there is to know about something, it puts a ceiling on your knowledge that prevents you from knowing everything there is to know about something. Healthy conversations seek to understand, not to agree. List a variety of ways to accomplish one goal. List any statements that assign blame. I eat blame for breakfast. It's almost better than, it's better than. It's about equal to bacon. I don't know if I want to say better. Um, Bacon makes everything taste good. And so does blame. Oh, I love blame. Ooh, it's a good coping mechanism. It shifts my thoughts away from me. And it's like, if you just did this, things would be better. If you just followed the rule, if you just came to work on time. I can't believe don't nobody come to work on Fridays or Mondays. If you just, right, blame. If the parent would only, if this would only, and it's another wishing, it's another woo, but it can take your attention away from problem solving. It's just like bacon. It's so good. Oh, the calories. Oh, it's delicious, but it's not good. It's not always good for you. It's just like bacon, right? And what blame does, it shifts thoughts and conversation away from the difficult task of our own self-reflection to reflecting on what we perceive as shortcomings of others. That's why it's so yummy. And this could be a mechanism that helps us cope with uncomfortable feelings associated with our challenge. Yeah, it doesn't feel good to be in a challenging situation. I gotcha. Neutral? List ways you or your team could be contributing to the problem. I like to think that I'm okay, but I'm sure you can run across, I'm okay, it's them. Now, I like to think that I'm okay, but I'm probably not the best person to make that assessment. Right? I probably, you could probably run into people and say that she's not okay. So now get outside, put yourself in someone else's shoes. Remember, I'm one of the contributors to the Walk in Your Shoes empathy mat. Yes, so I'm all about that empathy with Kaplan. And so take that. We need a mat for the adults. Okay, let's get this down here. The Walk in Your Shoes mat for adults. The behavior worksheet for the teachers and the parents. Right? We need it. We need that. List ways you could contribute to a solution. List negative comments. The brain. Okay, guys, we're gonna go through a few more. You're like, whoa, this is a long sheet. We just got a couple more, and then we'll kind of wrap up. Listening negative comments. The brain has a natural negativity bias. The brain processes negative information more strongly. Right? Yes, absolutely. You remember everything about a negative situation. The first thing you think is what's negative. That's your emotional brain. Then your logical brain kind of kicks in after that's the first thing you think. So now here's the thing. It can stagnate productivity. It can stagnate problem solving when you need it the most. Think of the strengths of a child, a family, a coworker, or a school. List their strengths. Everyone has them. I had a teacher and I was just like, what's your co-teacher's strengths? She's like, oh, she's like, you got me there. And she comes to school every day. I was like, there you go. That's a strength. She started her statement, I appreciate you come to school every day. I appreciate you. She still dealt with her question, like, I'm wondering how we can get circle time better, but she started with appreciation. Appreciation opens the door to listening and problem solving. It is a key. It's like a key that starts the engine, if you will. Think about assumptions. Are you making any assumptions here? Don't look for shortcuts. Right? People are part of multiple cultures, race, class, gender. List any statements that call into question someone's lived experience. Here's my new vocabulary word, gaslighting. My children taught it to me. I use it all the time. Gaslighting is when you question someone's lived experience. Oh, that's not true. They're making that up, right? Believe someone's experience as they describe it. If you're unclear, ask questions, right? Describe the experience to me. List statements that make comparisons. Oh man, I love to compare. It's like, well, I'm a parent. We have 4 children. I've got 4 kids, and I managed to do the homework. So, right? or I was a brand new teacher and I managed to get my lesson plans completed. I don't know what's going on. So here's what we know. False equivalencies can occur when an individual assumes two situations are the same because they carry some of the same characteristics while ignoring others. I could have been, I'm a parent, we have 4 children, and I say we because me and my husband work together. We're a strong team. If that was missing, I don't know if I could do the homework, right? Right. I have all these little tricks. I have a tutor. I have all these things that help me to support me. Absolutely. Make a list of similarities, differences, opposing ideas. And the last one, okay, everybody. Yeah, they were like, this worksheet is going on forever. It's finally, I'm gonna kind of pause and after this. List statements that corroborate your views. List that person, yes, you are right. They are wrong. Yes, it feels so good to be affirmed. But make sure you're not in an echo chamber. An echo chamber, new vocabulary word, is where someone only encounters ideas that correspond with their own. Force yourself to list opposing ideas. Consider how they might be true. Or list common words that link supposedly opposing ideas. So for an example, I use positive discipline, and a parent comes up to me and they say, you know what, I have a belt, they're not listening to you because I can't spank children. I can't, I cannot. What is the common link? Discipline. My discipline is positive. I can use calming words with a child. I can bend down to their level. And I can see that this parent also respects discipline. But there's a different way that we carry it out. And that, and to share with that parent things that could potentially go wrong by spanking, that there are other ways, and you know what, I use them. So we have a commonality in the fact that we both want discipline, and I can add to a toolbox for a family and give them some more ideas, and they'll go, that's a good one, Angela. I think I like that one. They just haven't found an idea that they love yet. That's all. They're looking for one. It's kind of like looking for a mate. It has to be the right idea that fits with you. And so when parents say that to me, like, you just haven't found the right strategy, but you will, and I'll help you. So now I'm kind of going, I'm gonna stop sharing my screen. And we talked about here just going through that filtering. That's all we're doing. I'm not asking you to be neutral. I'm asking you to respond with neutrality. That's a process. And I'm honoring that process with you. And we're on this journey together. And that process is an ongoing cycle that we all have to commit to. So I don't know if there's like questions or did people hang in there as I went through my bias filter? I don't know. Hi, Raven.
Hi, Angela. Oh my, have you really just opened my eyes and ears and really caused myself and hopefully our viewers as well to do some self-reflection, because a lot of what you said today was like, whew, take that in. Whew, okay, now that I digest this a little bit, let's talk about the why. Why is this bias existing? Why do I hold these views? And then do a heart check for why I have this bias. But the great thing is you didn't leave us hanging there. You also offered some wonderful practical solutions with a foundation of empathy and gratitude, which that carries beyond just in the classroom or within the teacher's lounge, so to speak. It goes way beyond that into every aspect of your life, right? If you have that strong foundation of empathy and appreciation, it will change the outlook of how you problem solve, how you relate to people, how you go about your day, and it just gives you a fresh perspective. So thank you, because like I said, you have opened my eyes. You have caused me to hold up a mirror and do some self-reflection myself, but we want to make sure that everyone is also doing that as well. And you did that, Angela, by giving us so many great resources, which we have shared in the chat. Right now, I am going to go ahead, and there are some comments in here that are saying, yes, you have opened my eyes. So, so I'm not the only one. So thank you. What we're going to do, Angela, because I just want to be mindful for time, is I want us to continue this conversation. So for those who are watching the recording, please feel free to put your questions in the chat, and Angela and or myself will be able to respond and continue this conversation beyond this current moment, because it's going to take some digging, some soul searching, in the sense of we need to be able to figure out the why and then move to the how. And using these resources that Angela provided for us, it makes it a little bit easier to handle both the why and the how. So thank you so much, Angela, for a phenomenal presentation, as you always give. So thank you so much. And thank you all for joining us today. So as I mentioned before, let's continue this conversation by sharing this video with your family, friends, and colleagues, because guess what? They have bias too. Sharing these wonderful tips and free resources, as well as links to Angela's book, and also other resources that are within the chat. So we are able to advocate for change within our homes, our classrooms, and communities by advancing equity out of love and empathy. So thank you again. I'm Raven Griffin. Please treat people how you would like to be treated. Take care.